Hey everybody, I want to answer a question today, and that question is, where have you been, Eric, between chapters, whatever my name is? That answer is not the hair store, no, the salon, the barber, well, all those sound wrong. I'm just now realizing I don't think I've ever referred to a salon or a haircutting place as anything other than I'm going to go get my hair cut. So I don't know what to call it. That's neither here nor there. I've not gotten a haircut since the last video. So I'm trying to say, no, just move on. Where have I been? I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what I've been doing, what I've been working on, and what I'm planning for the future with you right now. So buckle up and welcome to Between Chapters, because really, that's where we all are, right? Is we're in between chapters when we meet face to face through the screen. It's not really face to face. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying. Shake it off. Welcome to Between Chapters, where we talk about story, the self, and the strength to keep going. And we're going to talk about all of that in some way today. Where have I been? So the last time I spoke with you all, I was talking about my reading slump and taking a break. I believe I haven't watched that video since I made it, and I think that's what I talked about. But I took a break, and I still haven't read anything fiction. I've done some learning, some nonfiction reading, a little bit here and there, not something I talk about here on the channel, but does inform a lot of what I believe. So as an aspiring author, as well as a coach, I am learning technique. I'm learning things. And there's this cycle that we go through, a season of life where we're giving or we're receiving. And I have been receiving or giving to myself in this winter. And if I may, I'm going to give you one of my favorite metaphors. This is a little bit coachy. I get that, but we'll get into books. I promise. So if you want to scrub through, I'll try to put timestamps so you can ignore this cool lesson I'm about to give you. The lesson of the tree. I love trees. They are very great teachers. There is the life cycle of all of our lives found in the tree. And it's both from birth to death to seasons in our life, even just throughout the year. We go through spring, and that is this growth time. You know, things are starting to bud. We're coming out of our winter. We're born. And that leads into summer, where the fruit is now available. The seeds are sprouted, and we're ready to give and enjoy this labor we've been working on, we've developed. And as fall comes, we let go. We pull our resources in and we give to ourselves so we can survive what's coming next. And that is our winter, our period of dormancy. This is where we really inner reflect and we figure some things out. We alchemize the experience of spring and summer and fall to better prepare ourselves to survive the winter, that latency period, that period of inactivity, so that in spring, we're ready to surge forward. This happens throughout our whole life. This happens in the YouTube space when we're making content is, a huge period of productivity. Then all of a sudden it wanes and we have to think about, what are we even doing here? What am I even making videos for? This is a very important fall to winter phase. And if we don't do it, just like a tree, if we go into winter too early, we don't have enough chlorophyll to survive the winter. We take the green chlorophyll from the leaves, turn it into sugar into our trunk, and we give it to ourselves. Like in that fall, we get very vulnerable, very honest. And a lot of people don't realize that the true color of the leaf is shown in fall because the green is removed. That's just the color of the chlorophyll. So when you see that red, orange, yellow, beautiful leaf where people drive for miles just to go see and drive through the forest and look at the beauty, that is you taking a very small period of time to look at the truest form of that leaf. And so when you're in community and you're in your fall and you're being vulnerable and honest, those people who get to bear witness to the most beautiful version of yourself, the truest version of yourself, who, if done correctly, is going to go into their winter and come back stronger in spring. We're content creators, we're readers, we're writers, we're whatever we are. We're even in our family, sometimes we have to go through that phase. We're just getting over pneumonia, so bear with me. Hello again. As I was saying, we go through these phases, and if we pull in that resource, if we close our world up too early, we won't have enough energy to survive that winter. We run risking ourselves not surviving it. And what I mean by that is not coming into spring with energy. If we do it too late and we burn ourselves out, well, now we might not survive that winter, and we might tank our career, we might tank the relationship, we might tank the YouTube and just walk away from it, whatever we're doing, because we didn't give ourselves the time to invest in ourselves and figure out what we actually want and what we need and what our emotions are telling us. A lot more in that vein of conversation, and I'll let that lead me into my novel. because one of the big things is roots and trees in this novel. That's where the magic source comes from, is Vanandril, the world tree, essentially. I think I'm the first person to ever create a world tree in fiction. And I don't think the Vikings ever did it, or any other religion. So who's original? This guy. No, but I love the metaphor of the tree, so I wanted to make that sort of the steward of magic and the goddess, if you will, of the world. And there's other deities in this world, but I won't get into that. I want to stay with the tree. So I've been writing that novel. I have put it through edits with an editor. I'm now taking draft 2 and making it into draft 3. And I'm, making progress, but just like with reading slumps, I'm in that fall-winter phase of editing. And these phases can be like a week long. They can be a month long. They can be a couple days long. It's not like a timeline. You have to know it, and you learn by your own clock what that timeline needs to be. So I got to a point where, I forget how many chapters are in it. It's changing because I'm splitting chapters from these big, long 17-page chapters to more like 10. Some of them are even 5 chapters. So it does pace a lot more like young adult because you get through chapters a lot faster, which I still need to make that video, because that's one thing I've been sitting with is young adult versus adult. Where does my book fit, and why am I afraid for it to be YA? But some of the themes, as I'm realizing, it spans both. And I think there's a lot of novels out there that are both YA and adult fiction. And if I can give you one thing I've been looking at recently, I think it has just a lot to do with marketing and where you want to put it. It doesn't mean it is for kids, or it is for teenagers, or it is for adults. It's just, where can I position it in the market to sell the book? I think that's truly a political kind of conversation, and not much more than that. There's other things that I could point to, but that's been the key thing I've been finding now. So it's not scary. It's just marketing, which is scary. I don't like marketing. I have an allergy to marketing, which does not help me and bode well for my selling of my book. But I'm editing the book. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I'm really trying to read it as a reader and not as the author, and that's really hard. But I do have certain things that I need to figure out, like, when does this happen? When does this get revealed? When does this say this? And who, where are they at? And there's certain things that I have missed in the first pass. And it's like, you write this huge novel, and I think the first draft was 140,000 words. So it's a bigger book, but for fantasy, it's on par, right? That's a lot to keep track of someone with a great memory. Me not having a great memory, I am writing the story, and I'm, let's say it's chapter 5, and now I'm in chapter 25, and I realize something about my own story, and I make that change in 25. I don't remember that it was chapter 5 that I set up, that I have to go back and change that detail, so chapter 25 makes sense. And I've done that so many times. And so this pass right now, I'm being super focused, where every new detail I'm writing down, chapter 5 has this, so that when that detail, there's certain keywords that I'm looking for that I'm not going to say because it gives away plot stuff. I'm trying to write that down, and every time it happens, I'm going back to that word, that keyword, and I'm saying, oh, in chapter 5 it was this, but in chapter 12 it was this. Do they work together, or do I need to change something? So that's what the process is now. But I got to, I'm in 2 stages. One is like the ending of chapter 2, so I'm at the last third of the book in one edit, but then I started over and did like just a clean read through where I'm looking at all of those details. And the first one, where I'm in like chapter 35 or whatever, 33 I think, actually, enjoying that edit. But when I started over and went to chapter 1 and started just reading through it and just very gently tightening and documenting certain things that are happening to plot them out and make sure they make sense, and that I'm answering all the questions I set up, because that's a big thing too, is did I answer all the questions I wanted my reader to have? And I had a beta reader go through a little bit of it and learn what questions they had. And now I'm looking like, am I answering those questions? Because I don't want to leave you in a lurch. But I got to chapter 5, and I got about 2 paragraphs in, and it just felt off. But the first 4, I was like, yeah, this is solid. This could be draft 3. But I hit chapter 5, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with it. But I didn't have the mental capacity to really think about it, so I just right to winter. And I haven't looked at my book in a week. And I'll look at it, and I'm not quitting it at all. I just knew in that moment that's not where I needed my attention to go. I am really excited to produce this book, to sell it, to give it to you. Not because I've put all this time into it and so I deserve it or anything. I just love it, and it's a big passion of mine, and it's been 3 years of, I want to say 3 years, 3 years of work on some level, but really a year of solid, focused energy. So it's special to me. And and I want it to be special for other people. I hope it's special for other people. I don't know what kind of audience it will have, what kind of reception it would have, but I just want to get it in the hands of people who care and who will learn from it. And I have plans with how I can use it as a teaching tool, because it's a fiction book, but it's a lot of myself put into it and my journey. You know, when I was young and had magical beasts that, you know, I could bind with. A lot of things I've experienced in some way philosophically. It's not a literal trip. When I grew up, we had winter, just not forever winter. So it was very different. There was no magic. But you can talk about the isolation. It's the isolation. It's loneliness. It's those kinds of themes. The confusion of men and women and what they were and what they weren't and what my parents were telling me as lessons and all of that confusion, and then having to figure out that stuff for myself and become who I'm supposed to be. So there's a lot of lessons in it, but I don't want it to read as a parable. So that's where I'm at with my writing. Reading. I know that's what you all came here for, really, and I probably should have front-loaded it with it, but I haven't read anything besides some self-help kind of psychological books. I do have a plan, and it doesn't involve my spinning wheel, although I think I got an update on my computer so that spinning wheel is gone. I'm sure I could find it, but I was having a bit of a rough patch, so I was going through that list and taking out books after reading the first chapter online when they have them free, because I've been finding out that I can probably figure out in the first chapter if the tone of the book is what I want or if it grabs me or doesn't. So I've taken some of those books out. I've taken ones that are over 600 pages out, off the list. There's still some on there, but I've reduced that because I just know I'm struggling at this point with those books. So learning what you can and can't do is really important in this process of reading or doing anything in life. But I've decided that there are book series that I enjoyed and have been waiting for that to randomly pop up on this wheel of 100 books. And I think what's going to serve me best is just getting the book that I'm excited to read. So with that said, I'm going to be going back, I think in January is what I'm targeting, to go back and read Dungeon Crawl. You know what I'm trying to say. DCC, Book 2, Matt Dinniman's Dungeon Crawl. Matt Dinniman's Dungeon Crawl. And that's as good as it's going to get. So deal with it or walk away. I love that book. I love book 1. It is right there. It's my top spot. It's my favorite book of all time. The first book in the DCC series, that is. And I know it is not high art. I know it is not one of those books that takes the fabric of society and really puts up a mirror and makes you decide if you are part of the problem or the solution. And these books change who you are. And that is why we like them. And that's what makes it go to the first spot. No, it is not that at all. It is because I liked it and it was fun and it was a roller coaster and I like video games and I like RPGs and having a good time and I like escaping away because I'm enveloped in reality every single day. It's what I do for a living, is take on society and look at the underpinnings of psychology and the flow of social injustices and the confusion and the way people react to things, and I coach people, and I sit and hold space for their traumas and help them work through things that are very difficult, and it lightens me up. But when that's your world, it's really lovely to be able to escape and go into some fantastical place that still has either some morals or just a fun time. And that book series, I think, at least book 1, if that's any indication of how it's going to be, is just a good time. It's fun. It is candy to the ears, eyes, nose, mouth. I don't know. I don't like that metaphor. It's just fun. It's not even a guilty pleasure. You know, like I have guilty pleasure things like the Great British Bake Off is a show that I used to enjoy. I'd put on in the background and I would just work on some other things because it was pleasant. I liked listening to it. I liked seeing what they created, but it didn't change my life in this grand way. And not everything has to change your life. I'm very aware of this. And that book just made me have a good time with reading. And sometimes that's enough to change your life, to show you that you do enjoy reading. So those books are incredibly valuable. And I need to get back into that so that I can remember the goodness that I found in reading instead of trying to get these really amazing, impactful books that have changed the world. Like, that's not why I'm reading. I'm going into psychology to learn that, to experience that. So I want fiction to take me some other place. And that's me. You can be different from that. And that's the beauty of it too. There's lots of books out there for lots of different people because we all read different things. And I think that's fantastic because it gives me hope that my book can be the same thing. Is it's going to be something that's good for somebody for maybe an entertainment reason, and for someone else, they might be like, I see myself in this book. Would be incredible to have both of those responses. The last thing I want to talk about is my coaching and what I've been doing. I'm currently going through some certifications for Jungian coaching. I'm a huge lover of Jungian psychology, but my dream of becoming a psychologist that's a tough one, because I got to go back and finish my bachelor's degree, get a master's degree, get a doctorate. And if I wanted to go on to Jungian psychology and become an analyst, that's another 3 or 4 years post-doctorate to become that. And that's just highly unlikely, because we're talking a couple $100,000 that I'm not really willing to spend. So I'm doing some certificates, and I'm building out a couple programs, looking at 3 right now that I want to start taking people through in the beta. It's like 6-week programs that I want to do some beta groups of like 6 people that want to work through my framework of the daily heroic mindset of, the first one, kind of figuring out where you are on the map of life, slowing down, getting a little vision, figuring out what emotions are telling you, all these kinds of very foundational compassy kind of things that help you navigate, and then go into the next 6 weeks, which would be becoming the hero of your story and all that stuff. So there's a lot of Jungian archetypes. I'm very versed in it. I'm getting certified as a Jungian coach and an archetypal coach. So I'll have that deep knowledge, which I don't know, honestly, if I'm being totally honest, if that is what's going to take me to another level, because a lot of what I've learned so far in the first quarter, I already know that stuff. So I've been studying and I've been ingesting it, but there's this credentialing aspect that makes people feel more confident. And I totally get that. And I love investing in learning, because if I already know something, I get reinforced and maybe I learn something new. So I'm having a good time doing that and building this program. And I look forward to, even on I live on my Daily Heroics page, but this is just an update of what I've been up to. So if that is interesting to you, you can go to Daily Heroics on my other YouTube page and subscribe, be along for that journey if it's interesting to you. I tend to specify working with creatives, veterans, leaders primarily. But honestly, that's one of those niche things that I don't get into. So if you're interested in getting to know me more, getting to learn some of my philosophies that have helped me through a lifetime of mental health struggles, then please join me over there. I'll talk about it here because, like I said, between the chapters is my foundational process, or what I like to put on here. We're talking about stories. We're talking about the self and the strength to keep going, like I mentioned. And that means fictional stories, how I enjoy them, what they mean on a deeper level, how I'm writing my story. The self is very involved in that. Like, it's going and making the unconscious conscious, but not overtly here. That's daily heroic stuff, which I am passionate about both. So I'm always going to be doing something on that. I have a podcast coming out in January on my Daily Heroics page. I think that's where I'm going to put it. I might put it here. I really don't know. I did post the first episode on my Daily Heroics, which is a video like this, but I haven't posted it to like Spotify or anything because I'm not going to pay for it. I'm just going to put it out for free. But in it, it's called Becoming the Hero, and it's going to work through different parts of my framework so you can get a sample of what it is. And if it resonates with you, please let me know, because I will be looking to roster out some beta groups next month. I want to say January at the latest. It'll be February, not to cash in on the New Year's resolution crowd or anything like that. It's just the timeline is working out to be January or February. I do plan on doing quarterly meetups where we do some goal setting. I'm not a huge goal setter, but I do see the value in at least spending time thinking about where do I need to focus, where would I be best served to focus my energy broadly versus like I'm going to get 25 chapters of my book written by September or anything like that, which is fine and I think is valuable, but each person has to find their way to what is and isn't valuable, just like they had to find their way to what genre is or isn't going to work for them right now. It's an individual journey, but there are commonalities, and I like to help walk people with that mindset. So thanks for sticking with me. I don't know how often I'll be posting, but I did want to give you that update of where I've been and where I'm going. Now you know. Ask any questions you have below, and we'll flow. I'm sorry. I'm not a rapper. Sometimes I accidentally rhyme, and I want to see how long I can do it. And I didn't want to risk the fourth one being an awkward pause, so I cut myself off. I heard it. But thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, journey well, my friends.